What up, YouTube? And welcome to What the Papers Say. Although I should say I don't actually have any papers because it's Sunday and I'm simply not paying £3 fucking 50 to read some adverts about Audis and a cruise in the Seychelles. So instead, I will attempt to look at the newspaper websites on the phone that I use for the phone-in, and we'll see how we get on with that. I should have booted this phone up already, but hey, what the fuck. Yeah, Sunday papers. I don't buy a Sunday paper. Actually, if I do, or previously, before the scamdemic, I used to go for a coffee and buy my local newspaper to catch up on cake competitions and who won the bowling and which councillor was caught with pictures of child porn on his phone. But, you know, I didn't go into a shop. Because of track and trace, I'm only doing takeaway now. I simply will not go and give you my details. Gobsmacker, good morning. Three Stig, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, there's the phone booted up. So let's see what the paper's websites say. And by extension, other news organs. So I'll start with, since we are in Britain, let's start with the BBC website. Always good for a laugh. And we will go news. But we'll do the world news because I like news that is wide and far-ranging. All right, world news. South Africa eases lockdown as virus cases fall. Wrecked Mauritius oil spill ship breaks in two. This is the oil spill ship that spilled 1,000 tons of Japanese crude onto the beautiful beaches of Mauritius. And as I pointed out in a previous video, nobody seems to mind. I'm driving about in an oil spill. Man, I was busking Oban over the weekend, and they have greetings, Hobart of Haywood, or Hobart of Haywood. Indeed, greetings to inhabitants of the Delta Quadrant. 303 cases in Victoria yesterday. That's cases, not deaths, you know. So anyway, like I was saying about oil spills, the ferry that comes into Oban has a giant black cloud of diesel exhaust coming out of it. I had to stop busking on the quayside because it was a choking, poisonous environment that I just simply wouldn't put up with. I usually busk pedestrian precincts, obviously for the lack of poisonous fumes. So I am a mobile oil spill. All the diesel vehicles, and indeed, nay, all of the petrol vehicles are constantly spilling oil products into your air. People, everybody needs to come to terms with this. Burning a fossil fuel means you are breathing the products of combustion. And by extension, the planet is becoming more and more laden with the products of combustion of fossil fuels. And the epidemic in the Western world, and increasingly in China and India, of asthma, dementia, and other diseases is, it turns out, and as science and medicine are discovering now, a direct result of the products of combustion of fossil fuels. So, in some sense, the sooner we get rid of this shit, the better. You know, nobody's going to get asthma from solar power, unless, of course, we're making the solar panels by burning fossil fuels, which is, of course, the kind of madness we're just likely to do. All right. That's the Mauritius oil spill, how the wrecked tanker broke up, the deadly risks from Kenya's flooded lakes. Oh man, I must be on Africa. I am. Let's get back to the world. The BBC website is a gigantic place, so you'll have to excuse me as I attempt to navigate on this small phone here. World. Rival rallies as Belarus leader fights back. Belarus is a country next to Russia, and it's heavily influenced by Russia and the Putin regime. In fact, it gets all of its energy, almost all, I mean virtually, you know, it's beyond 90%. All of its energy comes from Russia, and Lorenko, I think it is, he is a Putin man, and he has just rigged the election. Won by a landslide, massive landslide, even though nobody likes him. And the people don't like it. However, Putin likes, I'll have to get his name, Lorenshenko. Let's delve into this link. Because the geopolitics between Russia and the West at the moment is quite... Lukashenko. March for freedom. Opponents marched, thousands of opponents, over alleged poll rigging and police violence. Meanwhile, several hundred supporters of Mr. Lukashenko also held a rally. Reports say state sector workers are being forced to attend. You've got to love that. So good luck to the people of Belarus in shaking off the unwarranted influence of Putin. But I, for one, do not really indulge heavily in Putin bashing. Putin is a thug and a tyrant, no doubt. But so what? So is General Sisi. So is Netanyahu, to name but two. Take your pick. Thugs and tyrants abound. We're quite happy to do business with thugs and tyrants. We're quite happy to buy and sell them shit. But we've got a real stiffy for slagging off Putin because he is some sort of bogeyman. Why is that? Why is Putin a bogeyman? Is he not taking the checks from Walt Disney or something? The annexation of the Crimea and parts of Ukraine, is that any different to the invasion of Iraq, Afghanistan, and the proxy war we ran in Syria with the pretend ISIS insurgency? I don't think so. Double standards abound. Donald Trump's younger brother dies. My condolences. I did not know that he had a younger brother, and so Donald Trump said he was his best friend. He was 71. Wow. I wonder if he died of coronavirus. It is unclear what caused Robert Trump's death. Well, I don't know anything about the guy, and so I can't really say anything about him. A death in the family is no doubt always sad, and regardless of what you think of Donald Trump or his younger brother, I think we'll leave them alone on that. Channel swimmer given quarantine all clear. This is kind. What, did she swim the channel and have to go into quarantine? She broke the record for the number of cross-channel crossings and been assured her fears of falling foul of the UK-France quarantine rules are unfounded. Oh, what about locking her up as a migrant? Australian Chloe McCardle. Wow, Australian Chloe McCardle. Wouldn't it be great if she'd swum from Australia to seek asylum in Britain? Although I believe Australia has some way to go before it becomes a tyrannical, oppressive regime from which people need to flee. I bet she had to dodge migrant boats. Belgian cyclist crashes off bridge in Italy. You've got to really lose control to crash off a bridge on a bicycle, haven't you? I mean, I can understand it drunk in charge of a speeding vehicle, but cyclists, And so Pompeo signs new defence deal with Poland. Speaking of thugs and tyrants, the Polish government are, from my reading, a particularly nasty bunch of Catholic wankers. And they are resisting efforts by the Polish people to modernise, reform and democratise their government. But Poland has a border with Russia. See aforementioned stiffy for slagging off Russia. No, driving a bike is not easy when one is drunk. Driving a drunk is not easy when you're on a bike. What to expect at Biden's Democratic convention? Balloons, confetti, signs, big hats. Isn't he already the nominee? Yes and no. He's a presumptive nominee, but things aren't party official until they announce it in the convention. Now, the other day I mentioned that the average rate of assassination of American presidents was until recently 1 in 4. And I was including Reagan, who was wounded, which is perhaps a little, it's bending the rules a little. So Reagan was wounded. Obama should have been next. And given the amount of vitriol and outright hatred that certain sections of American society had towards Obama, Ku Klux Klan, right-wing fascists, I was surprised, just in a casual and somewhat musing way, that nobody took a shot at Obama. However, what about the idea, I heard some news from a friend of mine, that extreme right-wing politics in America are perhaps suggesting that Biden could be the target of an assassination attempt before he's even president, so as to keep him off the ballot. Although, to be honest, I think if you're a Trump fan, Joe Biden is the best thing that could happen to your election campaign. Joe Biden, a man who is walking in dead man's shoes. He will be 78 when he takes office. Yeah. Will Joe Biden be there? Don't expect to see Mr. Biden on stage. They keep him hooked up to some virgin baby blood in a bunker. They only actually wake him up and push him out onto the stage when he has to say things in public. I swear, this man is the walking dead. He is a living zombie. His smile is injected into him. They give him a dose of liquid cocaine. Hi, everybody. Just before they unhook him from the virgin baby blood, which is keeping him alive. Who are the speakers? Former President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle. Bernie Sanders, scheduled to address the virtual crowds. The virtual crowds? Do they mean address television? Television's never been described as a virtual crowd before, has it? Yeah. Former President Bill Clinton. Jill Biden will be the final two speeches. Is Jill his wife? I never really understood this thing. In Britain, we let politicians' wives stay at home and keep their opinions to themselves. Yeah, well, who cares if a drunk cyclist falls off a bridge? I tell you, news organs are somewhat desperate to fill up their pages. Hacks will write anything. Oh, okay, well, I'll have to go now because some people are approaching the van. It looks like I'm going to have to interact with them. Okay, let's see what's happening here.